The Hebrew text in the Bible has hidden formats. By revealing these formats, I will prove the first writer's words were hidden from you. These formats look like poetry as I group them into small paragraphs. Their grouping will become known as a psalm, and together they become psalms. Let me show you our Creator's 12 commandments, listed in Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 17. Any father of a family or his wife who did not obey any one of these 12 commandments, our Creator demanded they bring him a sin offering. Thus, our Creator defined the word sin as not obeying any one of these 12 commandments. Next, I want to show you how I changed one word in Exodus 26, verse 26, the word bars to arches, and the words now reveal the style of the roof for our Creator's tent for meeting with Him. Let me show you the translator's words from the preface of the 1611 King James Bible. They gave 4 reasons for themselves or others to edit the Bible's words. The red arrow at the top points to their 3rd reason to edit the text. By the light and feeling we attained unto ourselves. The next red arrow down points to them giving the title, the Divine, to a clerk named Gregory. The next block of words, they point out they were happy that the first emperor of Rome established the year to the course of the sun. Behind this text means Nebuchadnezzar ordered his kingdom to follow our Creator's calendar when he stopped eating grass. Did you notice the letter S in sun is capitalized? This is to give respect to the Egyptian sun god Ra. Have you seen the Egyptian obelisk in the Vatican's front yard? The last arrow points to your reward for studying the Bible. Your reward is to have a fellowship with the saints and participation of a heavenly nature that will never fade away. There is no such thing as nature to a truthful Christian. Our Creator created everything. By their own words, they were not seeking to know our Creator or Jesus. Not everyone has the knowledge to correct every word. I have an old Bible program that has the New American Standard Bible 1977 concordance to help find a better word. Their concordance has the number of times they use that English word in a parenthesis for that Hebrew word. The translators removed his name, YHVH, to put in 2 titles, Lord and God. I replaced those titles using the letters Y and V as his name, for the Hebrew language does not have a J, O, or W. By using these 2 letters, I am closer to the truth than anyone using J, O, or W for his name. So why is there a single letter O in the Hebrew text 1,095 times? No proper English was used? The blue highlighted text is text that I am removing. The red highlighted words are little words that I'm adding. Gray italic words are words that I added. To respect and honor our Creator, all capital letters in purple are our Creator's words. This is Jesus' prophecy, for I am revealing the first writer's words to tell you the true truths about Jesus. As the text is revealed, you can taste the writer's style of wording. Their words will take your belief to trusting our Creator. You will be watching prophecy before your eyes as I edit true truths back into their psalms. All right. This is going to be a continue. I think this is going to be the last of this series. Though I've got a lot of other verses, what I'm trying to do is point out that the writers of the text in any Bible are not doing anybody a favor, and they really don't believe our Creator exists. They treat Jesus as an idiot when I start showing you show you the verses and then explain why they're so stupid. And I go into detail. And so those like you who don't know what the hell a sin is, well, a sin is defined by our Creator as not obeying any of the 12 commandments that you needed to bring a sin offering. So Jesus says they would have no sin. That's just stupid. The agreement is to enter into heaven is to be obedient to the 12 commandments. So Christians who are not following the commandments, they ain't going into heaven. They think that that's just like that's part of the Old Testament. It's all one book, okay? So here, Jesus does not understand what a sin is. But when I correct the text, then it says, I was sent to teach. They have sinned, but now they have no excuse for their sinning. For I have done among them miracles which no prophet did. Even now, and this even was word that I added, so I should have put that as italic and added. Even now, they would know of these being the miracles that he done, yet hate me and our Father. But in order his prophecy be fulfilled, as written in our books, they hate me without cause for what is written of Yah. Now, Yah is the Hebrew word they gave to Jesus as their king that's coming, being sent from our Creator, because when I get up here to the next verse, I will bring up this, what I'm talking about here, so you actually learn something today. This is Isaiah 38, verse 11. This is when King Hezekiah of Judah has illness, and then he recovered. But he knows that Isaiah is telling him about what's going to happen to Jesus. If you read Isaiah, Isaiah gets a vision of how they betray him and crucify him. But the object here is if you, in verse 11, if you go to the original text, Hebrew text, this word is here, where they tell you all the letters in capital letters for Lord and God, which those are titles, they aren't names, they're titles. I replace it with Yah, and it here says, I said, I will not see Yah in the land of the living. That means they were to wait for their king, okay? So let me show you here what I'm talking about. Here is the name Yah. And it says, praise Yah, sing to YV a new song. The new song is about their king, so we know that this psalm was written after they knew that Jesus is going to come as their king in heaven. And if you don't understand, that's the reason why you're going to heaven. I'm sorry, you are being told nothing but lies. And his praise in the congregation of the righteous ones, rejoice in their king. Okay, so I have now the word tied to king here, and that this new song to our Creator, that we are to praise him. Let them praise his name. Where's his name at? Praise Yah. Okay, so there's other verses like I just showed you that shows that Jesus, they had a name for him in Hebrew, and it's not like what you're being taught. Now, I went to BibleHub.com and I grabbed these verses. So this is like the King James of 1982. But the thing here is I grabbed these verses because, like all the other ones, they have Jesus being stupid, okay? And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read it here. And this will be the King James. Nevertheless, I tell you the truth, it is to your advantage that I go away. For if I do not go away, the Helper will not come to you. But if I depart, I will send him to you. All right. Now, I have the concordance. Oh, I forgot to set that up. Just a second. I gotta make it easier for me to click on these words here. And that's my cheat sheet that I use. Oops, I didn't. I gotta shut that off before the alarm sounds. I was gonna stream here in another 15 minutes, but anyways. Okay, now let me see if I just click here. It brings up what I wanted to show you. This is the text, okay? So to get to know what's going on here a little bit, you now have that understanding of what the text is before and after. But the word advantage, I wanted to highlight to say, what did the Greeks feel and what did, or use, what word, and what did Strong, because this is Strong's Concordance, but the New American Standard Bible has made sure that their text is spelled different to own the copyrights. But what they did was they did us a great favor by showing us how many times they used this word for this Greek word. Advantage is only used twice. What I'd try to do is try to say, hey, can I grab a better word, and they could, correct it a little bit better than what they did. But what it's talking about is when he goes away, okay? Goes away. Now they're using two Greek words for whatever, like this here, pass away, gone away. Go away is where. Go away right here. 5 times they did this. But that just lets me know that when I come over here and I'm editing the text, it helps me to understand some of the background of the text that they used. Now, what I did was I copied this text here to work with it. Let's see if I go over here, because I have said these things, sorrow has filled your heart, is what the text before this says. So it says, but, and we don't need proper English. It was written so long ago. I tell you, I will, not I tell you, I will tell you. Jesus was going to explain something to them, okay? I will tell you the truth. It is to your advantage that I go away. Now, what does going away mean? Let's put that word in there. Die, okay? And that doesn't mean the soul dies. When we use the word die, we mean that the body dies and the soul lives on afterwards. So I'm going to do that and get rid of the stupid words. They needed 2 words, remember, of the Greek text to say the word die. It is to your advantage that I die. And it's not advantage, okay? They know he's coming as the king, okay? Jesus is here in the favorable year that our Creator is going to let him proclaim his gospel. And the word gospel is defined Jesus's teachings of himself, okay? So a lot of the things that are here are now being brought forward for everyone to know the truth of what was written long ago. So I will tell you the truth. I will die. For if I do not die, well, let's see, I can just go there. If I do not die, now you can see that this is making no sense. Everybody knows they're going to die, okay? So this is not going to be truthful. It can't be said by Jesus. But I will tell you the truth. I will die. For if I do not die. Now that, I still can't read it to say that that's what it means here. Jesus knows he's going to die. So this, he says, for if I do not, he knows he's going to die. Remember, Jesus is aware of what is supposed to take place because, example, he knows that I was just thinking that is Jesus talking to him after he has been crucified? And I'm going to take a moment here to see way down here in the text. Okay, no, he is talking about that he's got to die. Here, I'm going to show you. Down here, the last verse, it does say that he's, a little longer, you will again see me. Now, this is the verse that Jesus is telling them that they will see him again, and it's reminded when Joseph and Mary come to the tomb, and Jesus's body's not there, and the angel announces that he's back in Galilee. He's taken back up his body, gone to Galilee. So here, this is saying that, okay? A little while I will see you, you will see me. So above here, this means that he's telling them that there's going to die, okay? So the text has to be, this is still wrong. This has to be out. Because it's taken out of context of the text that's here, that where it's coming from. I would you'd have to reorder this sentence, because does anybody know what the helper is? Jesus talks about a helper who is going to have our creators send to earth. And he is going to tell the truth about Jesus. Here I am. That's what's happening, prophecy in your day, because nobody else is telling you the more truths about the text than what I just got done doing in all these 10. And I've showed you many times of the corruption of the text. You now know there's 12 commandments. So the helper, who I am, this goes with the text that he talks about the helper. Okay? So shall not come to you, but if I go, I will send him to you. See, this is, people think it's a Holy Spirit that he's sending, but he's directly saying him, okay? Now he's putting a capital H on him here in the text. I'm sorry. I'm not as good as Jesus here. I am here to tell you about Jesus. Okay, like other prophets, I'm pointing that Jesus is coming. All right, but this has to be done. This was his prophecy to be filled. That, and it should be my helper. Uh, well, not shall, but will. All the words shall can be changed to the word will. But this is Jesus's prophecy. Okay? So this is something new completely in the text that Jesus is telling us about the future. Here we are 2,000 years later, and it seems like the computers needed to be made, okay? Because when you see what I've done to the text, the example, let me bring up John here. And what I've done here is I've gone through John on all four of them, really. And I've cleaned up the text, as you've seen what I've done. And then I get to the words here, what they are. Okay? And as I keep going through, I keep getting clean sentences. So this is what I have here. This, I think, are these cleaned up. But this is the text here that I cleaned up in John, okay? And it's funny that when you actually start understanding how I'm putting respect for our Creator and the words that He has spake or has defined as what we should be knowing, I put them in all capital letters and I put them in the color purple. Now, from YV, every first came into being, okay? The word is everyone's, but that's not true. When you read the text, you're trying to figure out what everyone's means. It means every first that came into being, our Creator created. And in His emptiness, He sent it to be to come into being, meaning that our Creator hovered in His emptiness, and then He separated Himself from emptiness. He created heaven. Then He sent back part of Himself, because where everything is, and everything that you see and is perfect. Okay, so you cannot find an error anywhere. Okay, that we have a free will of choice that brings about our will from our choices that He gives us. Okay, and then it is up to our will whether we believe our Creator exists or not. But anyways, for His light shines in His abyss, and evilness does not comprehend Him. Now, what I want to show here, this they have comprehend it, okay? Every one of the Bibles describes our Creator's light as an it. But I've already done this text, and I will be compiling this true stories from all of it. And I'm going to get to that sooner or later. But right now, I'm going to finish up with this here, and I'm working on Daniel to show you how to find the hidden first writers formats. They are not in the other formats in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Okay? But this has to be separated and said this has to go when Jesus is talking about the helper, because there's I think there's 7 verses that talk about the helper, and that is when He has actually talking to the disciples when He's done arising from the tomb, having His body back, and then goes to Galilee. Then they meet Him, and that would be part of the conversation here. The text, the way they have it, doesn't do that. So my helper will come to them, because it'll be the future, and you would learn that when you see the other text that there. But if I go, I will send Him to you. But if I go, Jesus never said that. And it wouldn't be, but it would be after I ascend. Because when Jesus is back on earth, he's not going to die. He's there telling the Galileans that the last wonderful knowledge of me is I have been raised from the dead, and I'm back talking to you because you heard that they crucified me. And here I am showing you the marks that I was crucified, and I've taken my body again, and I'm telling you, for an extra unbelievable shaking of not a belief, but to a full trust that they know that he again exists alive on earth. But when he's talking to the disciples, he's got to be saying after, because he's talking about when he's going to send them, after I ascend. So Jesus is not dead. He's going to ascend to heaven. Okay? Ascend. Then, and this is Jesus' prophecy, then I will send him to them. It's all about the future. Okay? But this verse, it can't go with this verse. Okay? So these have to be separated, but they can be corrected. Okay? And I hope you understand that. All right. John 17:9. I got that bookmarked, so let me go over here and how come I don't have that bookmarked? Oh, I got it above it. Okay. And for their sakes, I sanctify myself, that they also may be sanctified by the truth. Do you even know what the word sanctified means? Okay. Because that's what's good about having a concordance. Because it's the secret of the other words that they use for him. So, right here, sanctified, keep holy, hallowed, okay, twice. And then the rest of them is sanctified. To make holy, to consecrate, okay. You cannot become holy, okay, plain and simple. That's just, no. You should absolutely know for the simple fact that you cannot be holy, all right? Now, how can Jesus sanctify himself? Our Creator is going to, when his body dies, bring him into heaven, okay, to establish his kingdom forever. To say that Jesus is the Holy One actually means Jesus is the highest one. So when you read the words in the Hebrew text, where our Creator is definitely saying, I will send my Holy One, he is talking about his highest one, okay? The thing here is Jesus, there's many words that Jesus has said that he was born before the world was created. So we know that there was angels in heaven first. Jesus might have been his first created being who has always remained the most obedient to our Creator among everyone that he created, okay? And he's sending them to earth, okay? So he cannot sanctify himself, all right? For their sakes, no. It's our Creator's prophecy told through Nathan to Daniel that he will have a son, and through his son's son's seed, unless you're making our Creator a liar, you're going to say there's a Trinity and he's God. No, the title is God meaning one. And I know that people are, all these Christians saying, Trinity. Well, sorry, Jesus even defines there's no Trinity. So he defines what is Holy Spirit as our Creator's breath coming and speaking through people. Because I know you just don't believe this when you hear somebody rattle things like that. But there it is, right here. The Spirit of your Father who speaks through or in you. The in is these words down here where the Spirit will teach you what that very hour you're to say, meaning comes to your thoughts. Jesus casts out demon by the words from our Creator. So he's given words to cast that demon out. Here, when it says through that I had to put here, Zacharias was filled with our Creator's words, which those would be, yes, we can say he's holy, prophesied. So he didn't know what he was saying, but he said them, and it's about John. Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Spirit, or our Creator's words were speaking through here, but they have the word said, but it is she prophesied, okay? And she talked about Jesus in Mary's womb. So if you start learning the true truths, Jesus defines what is Holy Spirit. And yet here, these red words that I've got highlighted, these verses got Jesus calling the Holy Spirit it is, and a whatever. Okay? So, how can I correct this text? That they themselves also may be sanctified in the truth. If I change this, which I could, I would be making it my own sentence because of everything what I just told you. I would have to say our Creator grants me my kingdom, and I can't use the word self, I can't use sanctified, I can't say sakes because it's actually our Creator's prophecy. And then themselves can enter into heaven, may enter into heaven, fine, by my truths, okay? And because Jesus is going to be the redeemer or the forgiver to enter into heaven for all races around the earth. So right now, none of this Jesus would have said. It's just crap. And I explained every reason. Oh boy, this one. This is Jesus being stupid all the way. Okay. Now this is Matthew 40. So it'd be this one here. All right. As Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights. Now this is Jesus talking. I hope you spotted the problem. In the belly of a great fish, so will the Son of Man be there 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. All right. I don't think I need to go to the book here. He said it. Okay. Do you know what a day is? Okay. A day means from after the sun is lowered by our horizon, that twilight is the very beginning of the day. And it's through the night, and then daylight is a day. Okay? So, who put the word nights second and days as its daylight first? Okay? Jesus knows that. So 3 days and 3 nights. So they got that wrong. 3 days. Okay? So let's just say that. Okay? 3 days. Now, it says, in the belly of a sea monster. Up here, it's a fish in a great fish in King James 82. Now, let's think about that. 3 days and 3 nights. Then Jesus said, so shall the Son of Man. What does the word Son of Man mean? First, we have to know man means male and female. Okay? And if Jesus is telling the very, very truth here about himself, he's from man. Okay? And this he's talking about as himself, as himself, as himself. But these words are coming from our Creator because he was sent to them as their king, as our king, but they sent them to them. So shall I, not the, that's a third person. So it has to be I, okay? So here they forgot to put the word I in here because they don't give a shit, okay? Now, be there, let's get rid of this and say Jesus said this. 3 days, okay? And it says, in the heart of the earth, okay? Now, that means that Jesus doesn't know what the heart of the earth means. There is ancient knowledge that our Creator gave the people to relate to the knowledge about him. The birds fly in the first heaven or third heaven. The second heaven is the motion of the stars, making this mountain with the North Star is the top of this mountain. And only the New American Standard Bible, you will find that written in Psalms 48:2. Mount Zion in the far north, okay? Now, the far north, that is his mountain. So he lives above the mountain in heaven. And from what we know, there is nothing out there except for emptiness that we're racing into as the galaxies are being expanded from a place where it was spewed from, as to create the beginning for all matter in the universe to start from. And all matter, I told you, is our Creator. It's just part of our Creator. So what happens is when he tells us now about Cain, our Creator tells Cain, Abel is calling to him from the ground. There is another dimension of time that is in darkness as another existence of a heaven, okay? The abyss would be considered a heaven in the ground. The surface that you see, the Hebrews defined as land. What's underneath the land is ground, and then there's going to be a space down there, or this heaven down there, which is nothing but black, deep emptiness. And Abel's soul was crying to our Creator from there. Now, let me explain a few things here that in the occult world, or pagan knowledge back then, that mountain in the sky is known as Mount Olympus by the Greeks, and the nether world is what's below. So Jesus would be still saying this, but it would be in the abyss. They know what the abyss is. Okay? So here is what they're trying to say Jesus is trying to, if I'm trying to get to the truth of it. Now, the problem is Jesus is flat out lying. Okay? Now, how can I have to tell you what's going on, because there's too many verses that I've got to go grab. So I'll just explain to you. When Jesus was dying on the cross, one of those that were dying there with him, he turned and told him that you'll be in heaven with me today. Jesus knew what a day was. He also knew that when his body died, what evidence do we have that Jesus ascended to heaven? We have to look at the text that they said when he died, the house for our Creator, its granite blocks split because there was an earthquake. Okay? It wasn't a large land opening earthquake, but they also seen souls rising from the graves. Now, this has a hint to tell us that there was a graveyard outside his house, because they could witness the house, witness Jesus on that road that goes into Jerusalem, and across from there are the graves. And out there in the graveyard is where the tombs were that he was placed. Okay? So, but he didn't go to the abyss. Okay? So now I can get rid of this. This here is just absolutely wrong, because we know that the other text says, and they have proof, that when he went to heaven, that his kingdom started, and all those from down that were in the abyss that have been obedient to our Creator, which would have been the Israelis, those are the ones faithful. Jews are not Israelis. Jews don't believe in Jesus. They're the bad ones. Okay? They're the unbelievers. The Israelis are the ones who are obedient to our Creator. They ascended to heaven. Okay? So you know that Jesus now went immediately to heaven. And then I was telling you that the day that they crucified him was on the day of preparation, which means that they were preparing to have the Passover meal starting at twilight. So they were gathering together as a people to share the meal, okay, and celebrate. Our Creator told them to celebrate this in the Sinai. And when he led them out, he told them that after the next day, when they wake up, or the day that they wake up, that day to daylight, he is going to take them out of a nation of Israel, and that is their first day of their year, which is the summer solstice, and that is a holy day. That first day, he tells them it's holy, and for the next 7 days, they are holy. He added to the statute when he was in the Sinai. So there's 8 days of no work, celebrating. They were to encompass or to camp around his tent for meeting with him when he was in the Sinai. When they marched and then he stopped, they would set his tent up, and then they would actually camp by the order of birth around them. 3 in the south, which has the entrance to the tent for meeting, 3 in the east, 3 in the west, and 3 in the north. That's how they encompassed him. So when they were to celebrate this in Jerusalem and all the people were coming there, they knew that there had to be outside Jerusalem itself as a city, but that's how they were encamped around Jerusalem at the time Jesus was crucified, but they're all out there preparing to celebrate the passing over of their firstborn, the ones that were truly obedient to our Creator. Now, I can't say how many there were, but that year that Jesus was healing people, I'm sure there was a lot of people that had been coming there. But now we have to remember what I just said a little bit before, a little later. The next day, or the day of that, when our Creator killed killed the firstborn of Egyptians, that daylight, they went to his tomb to put more spices around the body so the bugs would not get to the body. But the angel told him he's already taken his body and you'll see him in Galilee. No 3 days, nothing. So all of this is just absolutely stupid words from Jesus. So if you even believe anything from Jonah, you're stupid, because the whole point of Jonah is for this to be said in the text. Okay? And Jonah is a made-up bullshit. Okay? Now you know that they've got Jesus lying to their lie in the text. Okay. Matthew 21:13. Okay, I don't need to go to that text to do this one here. Okay. I'm going to read it down here, and this will be from the New American Standard 1977. And he said to them, "It is written, my house shall be called a house of prayer, but you are making it a robber's den." Now up here it says den of thieves, so they switched the words around. So maybe I should go just to show you what those words really are then. I guess I can. So I've got the time. So 13, this would be this one here. Okay, so okay, you're on screen. Okay, meaning a cave or a den. Robber is robbers pretty much all the time. So they got it as robber's den. Let's see what prayer is. Prayer. Okay. Because I've got to explain a lot, because I'm sure you don't know what a prayer is, okay? And I'm pretty much sure you don't know what pray means either. So Jesus said to them, let's use his name. Let's give it this, because when you actually look how many times they use the word he, and they confuse it by not putting his name in. Jesus, and let's give Jesus a little respect in the language, and get rid of the proper English that never existed back then. Jesus said to because the story is that he's talking to the priest. He's outside the house, and he just got done. Let me make sure that that's what's before the text. Yes. Here it is that Jesus has just went in and started casting them out. Okay. So let me see here if I do this and then bring this up. Okay, so now we have this text here. Okay, now that you've seen that, and we know that he's at the gate, and Jesus said and it's going to be let's make sure that I've got this right. Down here, but when the chief priest and scribes saw the wonderful things he had done, no. He's got to be talking to the priests, though, that are running this affair that's there, okay? This market, okay? You see that it's a market, okay? So, Jesus said to the priest, and I'm adding this and adding this to the priest. And it wouldn't be it is this. Was, not is. It has to be was. So I've got to say, correct this. I've got to say it like this. Because this was not written, but prophesied. We got to get the right words to mean the right, what he's talking about. Because he's claiming this is what was written that is happening, so it has to be prophesied. And so that's coming from our Creator. And that's down. My house, which that would be our Creator. Now our Creator is speaking, so this is a prophecy by our Creator. My house, we can change it to will. Whoops, I'm not adding, I'm just changing. Will be called a house of, and it's not prayer. Here's why. The word pray means the act of how you are standing or kneeling, or how your arms are spread out or your hands are folded. That's what the word pray means. Now, a prayer means that you're talking to our Creator, just talking. Because if you're asking our Creator for something, that is known as a petition. They use two words, petition and supplication. But just understand that it's a petition, that when you're asking our Creator. So that isn't what was done at the house, was it? The courtyard, the priests, when they set up the tent of meeting, everything was made for the sin offering to be offered up, and then they were to go into his house to ask for what? Ask if they are they truthful, and can they be forgiven to remain in the nation Israel, or do we cast them out? Now, and you only find the word cast out. You won't find that what I just said, because they didn't believe our Creator was talking, so you aren't going to find that in text. You have to find the word cast out and mean out what it means. So, because you have to start with our Creator's 12 commandments as a promise, and then what he says about if you don't be obedient to these, you're going to be cast out, or you're going to be sent into captivity, and you're all going to disappear from the land. So, we'll be called a house of what? What do you think? Atonement. Atonement means the full act of the male of the family, or the head of the family, the male, would come, and it could be a female at that time, because if she was by herself, her husband had died, because they become one. She is supposed to then take up the responsibilities of the husband's duties, which to fulfill the atonement that if she wants to be forgiven, this atonement, the act of everything I just got done saying, is the process of atonement, meaning this action is about being forgiven for not obeying one of the 12 commandments. So it has to be atonement, house, not of, for their atonement. Whoops. For their atonement. Okay. I'm going to make it a period. But you are not making it. You have. And this would be Jesus speaking, so they aren't capital. But when it comes to the word it, Jesus is referring to his house. Is it a robber's den when you're selling something? Serious. The text says they were selling stuff, and then they said then it's a robber's den. Okay? Now, the thing here is it does mean Jesus would be referring that he's robbed them of their atonement to be able to forgive sins. Okay? Shall I leave a robber's den? Yes, I am. Because this is the end of the prophecy here. Okay, so that's the end here. Then Jesus is now stating this. You have made it, so this can't be all capital letters. Now they had the word cave. So let me put that there, and let me show you again here. When I go to the word den, it's used as a den 3 times, called a cave 3 times. So it's an even, I guess, up to what's going on here. A den is a cave, though. A den doesn't mean an open market. So I'm going to use the word cave and change the word den, and then put a period, put this here as this is being changed. Get rid of that word and get rid of this word. Get rid of that. Now let me clean that up. And I need a new piece of paper here to do this. Yeah, I know. I just called it a piece of paper, right? Yeah, I know. But you know what I'm talking about. Okay. Oops. I'll do that. What I'll do is I'll put that down here. Now let's see what Jesus actually said. And Jesus said to the priest, because we have to have it directed at who's the robber's cave. This was prophesied. My house will be called a house for their atonement. And these are all our creators. And now this would be, I guess it was not prophesied. And because it's our creator saying it, this was when our creator commanded. That word commanded doesn't work. So declared does, though. So, all right. So now I've changed that word. This is a statement. Was declared, my house will be called a house. My house will be called, comma, a house for their atonement. But you have made it a robber's den. And it means that they're robbing the people of their atonement to be forgiven. So I have to keep the word robber's cave. Okay. So that's what Jesus would have said. Okay. Not a house of prayer. They're not making it. It's made. Some of these things are real easy to understand, but this was the big word here in explaining the meaning of what robber's cave is. Yeah, I think there's only one more after this, right? Yep. Okay. So, all right. Now we got 1834 out of Matthew. Okay. Now, yes, I've got to go and get the text here of what it means. Just put it in perspective here. 1834 view. Now Jesus is talking here. A wicked slave. Okay, this is okay, now what this proverb is above here is Jesus is talking about how, let me get back up to the beginning of it here. When it says 70, how many times do you forgive them against you? So he's talking about he says 70 times, but no. No. You're not always to forgive one who is evil or even wicked to you. So now this becomes the proverb here. Now this proverb is about what Jesus is talking about as his kingdom. All proverbs relate to his kingdom so they can relate to it and tell their children in simplified words, this is the action on earth, and this action is for Jesus's kingdom, to get to Jesus' kingdom. So, wished to settle the accounts with his slaves, and then they went, let's see, and he went out to get money from, let's see, how's this saying? Settle accounts with his slaves, but those are actually, it has to be borrowers. And to settle them, they brought him one who owed him 10,000 talents. Yeah, that would not be a slave. You wouldn't owe the talent. You give a slave, no. You're given a loan. So, and it wouldn't be 10,000 talents. Talents, A talent is a piece about this big, and it's probably pretty thin, but it was actually silver. And what that was the largest chunk of silver that they used to weigh out on scales to barter for something. And then if you weren't going to exchange merchandise, you did this with silver. And that talent was the largest one. Now it might be not as big as I said, but it's going to be the biggest piece so they can put so many pieces in to be something. But when you got that many pieces, he's not going to carry them in his pocket here. Okay. So, but when it says he went and settled the account and he told him that 10,000 since you have not repaid. Oh, this is where the guy could not pay for it, because there's two proverbs about the kind of have the likeness, and I was getting the other one confused. And he fell down and he said, "No, I can't do that. Give me time." Then let's see, and he began to choke him and say, "Pay him back." But the object was that this Lord now here, the king forgave him for not repaying him. So he's now going to go out and gather money to helpfully pay the king off anyway. So the thing here is that he's doing this act against another guy, and then it's reported back to the king what this guy had done. And now he is moved with anger, okay, against this guy. Now, everything has to relate to Jesus, the kingdom, as a parable. So that's why he forgave him. He had a debt. He had many sins. He forgave his sins. Because remember, we just learned that the priests were corrupt and they had robbed him. But the guy was wanting to always be obedient. He just had sins that were, he forgave them. But this act of forgiving, Jesus says that's what you're supposed to do to others. But the story is that this guy went out, and even though he was forgiven, he didn't act as his king does. So he does this on his own, and then the king finds out. And his lord, which would be a king, is like a ruler over the land and the people, and makes rulings. As a lord, he is a provider. You got to understand the titles here. So would have been our king and lord. This text should have been Lord, our king and lord, because Jesus is both. Two titles, but they used correctly if you understand their meaning. His lord was moved with anger and handed him over to the torturers until he should pay all that he owed him. Now, if we are to say that Jesus is relating to his kingdom, we know that this, hand him over to the torturers. Whoops, I'm doing this to the wrong. Sorry. I'm doing it to the wrong text. And his Lord was moved with anger. Now, Jesus would send them to the abyss. So there is no such thing as torturers, okay? Torturers, that means they're going to sit there and whip him from day to day or time to time. Well, how is he going to get out there to repay what he owes him if that's done? This does not make sense, does it? When you understand that he's being tortured all the time, he has to go out and work for that money, but he can't. They had a rule for the Hebrews that if you owed another that you and didn't pay them, you were sent to a work prison, and that prison was that another person, another Hebrew, could hire them and says, you come work for me and I will pay your debt to him until your debt is paid, and then you're done working for me. And we know this is true because there's the sounding of the trumpets at the beginning of the 7th year, every 7th year, to release all prisoners and all debts be forgiven and everybody restart over again. That meaning is very much like you're done living on the earth and now you're going into heaven and everybody starts out together again as servants to Jesus. Okay? Now, so it can't be he hands them over to torturers that he will repay them when he owes them. So this, we know, is absolutely not true. He handed them over to the work prison. Oops. Work prisoner. Yeah, work prison. Handed him over to a work prison. Now that means that he can redeem himself by being obedient to pay off what he should know as to learn forgiveness. So it's more or less that Jesus would be saying, now you owe me and I'm not going to forgive you. Now you have to go there and understand that you have to be punished now. And then if you're able to work in the field, which means to go be obedient to our Creator, if somebody's willing to hire you as a worker, you now are back under the laws. And I just explained what the work prison was and the forgiveness and redemption and understanding the year of redemption. You are forgiven of your debt, okay? So that would be more correct of what Jesus said, to tie it with his kingdom, okay? So it's just having to take that out, make sense of what Jesus is actually meaning, hand him over to a work prison, and that would be, then you have to understand what a work prison is and what you do and why people hire you from there. And why this is all a law by our Creator that this was set up, because he made the priest blow their horns. I think it was starting 7 days before the first of the year, of every 7th year. And it was sounded out. They started the sounding out, and then others blew all the horns in the promised land, okay? So that's how they understood work prison. But the idea is to, he didn't hand him over to this. I guess I got to go back up now here. Oh, I see what I did. Okay, I got carried away. I actually brought this down. I need this separated. This is what's cleaned up now. This is what's true. This is the statement. I was going to correct it again. So that is what Jesus means when he would have said. But this would have been something that Yes, he would have been angry because he didn't get the idea what forgiveness is. All right. Now, this is the last one. But there are more if I really need to have more here. So, if you abide in me, my words will abide in you, and you will ask what you desire, and it shall be given, it shall be done for you. Okay. I don't think I need to go to the text here. If you abide in me, if you live not in me, you can't live in Jesus. If you live by my words, I'm going to put teaching again because it's better. Okay. If you live by my words, abide in you. My words abide in you. But I can't put this in, but it's kind of like I need it doubly said here. So, if you live by my teachings, this has already been said. It's at the beginning. So, if you live by my teaching, you it's I can't use the word can ask. You can petition whatever you wish. Okay, here's the thing. Jesus wants you to wish for it, whatever you wish. Yet Jesus doesn't understand the 12 commandments. For the simple fact, if you're wishing down here, it's you will not desire what is your neighbor's. Okay, so the thing here is it's down here, whatever you wish. Jesus would not say that you can wish for $1 billion and it shall be done for you. Okay, so we know that Jesus, there's no such thing as wishing. There's no such thing as chance. There's no such thing as luck. Our Creator assigns what's going to happen to you when you take the choices He gives to you. And you have to understand that the choices that He gives you is also connected to your surrounding interactions that you make with your surrounding. So the word wish, Jesus would have never said. He would have never said what you wish for. So it shall be done for you. No, there's no such thing. Okay. So all I have is a piece of what actually Jesus would say. And maybe it might go with the following text yet. And that's what I did when I did, where's this here? When I went through and re-edited, when I re-edit the text, and I will be combining them together because a lot of times, like I had to get rid of the word might. but all of a sudden, got rid of the word might again, but all of a sudden I was getting true statements, or what I truly understand as true statements. Jesus say these. And the more I combined each of these groups together, I don't know if I've got it. No, I don't have it in here, but you can see I threw a lot out. I guess I should get one that actually puts all these together and shows you what it looks like cleaned up. But anyways, a lot of times, if I put up Psalms, you could, don't save anything I did. Oh, man. I don't know what I got to do to shut that off. But anyways, this is how you should actually realize that prophecy is happening in your days. You can now understand my knowledge by everything that I've been telling you over the 10 different parts to these. And it is just, let me just zip through all these just to show you how many times I have been doing this and just going through the text explaining. And I know I have to go a long time speaking about these things, but Jesus said so many stupid things, and explaining them does take, because I was only getting maybe about 3 or 4 verses at a time to go through everything. But that's what I did in all these. So I'm going to call this the end for today on God, Jesus being stupid. And I'm telling you, Jesus is not God. And I'm going to go through every verse, every time. Jesus says, and there'll be like, I think, 60 times I'm just going to go over the word Son of Man and show you that sometimes Jesus says he's talking about himself personally, that he's a son from man, meaning born by a male and female. And then I'm going to tell you the other times he is talking about for man, which means after he ascends to heaven, that he can bring others into heaven, because it all starts from Abraham, our Creator promising Abraham about a king who shall come forth from you, and in him or from him all the races on the earth will be blessed. And we don't know about the blessing until we learn about his kingdom. But it starts here, and this is why in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, you'll hear these people that are against Jesus says, we are disciples of Abraham. Okay? So that's why they do this, because this everlasting promises, an everlasting covenant actually means promises, promises, promises over the many years. And that will be it. You have a great day.